Bob is going to get launched in by Philadelphia, but the issue is it's going to get taken out rather quickly. More of a space maker. Jerry's got his Bob coming online rather soon, however. Dynamite does get eaten up, but a headshot will make sure he secures the ult. As the slam back down into the ground as the Flux is let go by Fury. Mikey does end up going down, and that will be the Trace jumping on the point. Dynamite straight on Color Hex's feet, and that should be it for Boston. They're going to have to retreat and go again. Carpe now just cleaning up the strike. Point is still in contestation. OT now ticking down. The Supercharger did get laid out by Boston, but instantly taken care of by Fury. Boston do end up finding the flip, but is it actually going to stick? Philadelphia Fusion do have the high ground. Hisu does end up going down. The Transcendent should just end the fight for the Boston Uprising. I say that as a Transcendent's coming in. A Carpe with a double post bomb in the back. They weren't quite expecting that one. A post bomb as well is let go by Color Hex. He takes down Funny Astro, but his team are bleeding. He needs to apply the bandages ASAP as Boston let go of the point. Fusion are going to jump on it. They should be able to secure it here with Halo and Punk coming back first. It's going to be a hard, tough fought battle to stay in this OT.
Just going to yoink him off the point, not even going to be able to touch there. Boston killed more Immortality fields than they did players. Only 2 final.
There's a lot of skulls on his screen, but nothing much else. Boston Uprising now need to get to the point. Post bomb from Carpe in the back line. Doesn't find anything but the Immortality field, but it's good to cool down 2 rounds out. There'll be Myungbon and Alan being traded out, but Punk's in a very dangerous position. Up against a wall, but against 3 people, it doesn't seem to mind all too much. Carpe and Funny Astro fighting in this very small room. OT has been triggered. And Boston Uprising do manage to find the flip. They don't really have many members left. It's in fact Jerry on the point alone. Now joined by Color Hex. Bob is going to join the fight as well, as Color Hex ends up going down to Fury.
Fury's just going to farm the shield and then drop the shield in front of him. Bob can't do anything. Why was I programmed to feel pain?
Man, I don't know. I feel sad for Bob, honestly. He was just trying to do his best. OT is here. Mikey gets taken out. This should just be it, really. Color Hex is trying to make his way back to the point. They got 1 post bomb and they got 1 window, and that's all that they do have. Punk gets a rock to the face, doesn't touch the point in the end, and the Philadelphia Fusion will take
whatever he wants out of this without having to worry about the opposing window. Philadelphia is going to play really far back now. At some point, you got to come into this card. It's not going to be a fun experience.
Gotta touch. Jerry's doing so much work in the back. There we go. Alarm's going to go down as well. Maybe does 4, but I'm not sure it matters, to be honest. Alarm's going to provide so much damage and like just helping damage out the tanks. It doesn't really matter all too much. Now, Color Hex falling is maybe a little bit of a problem. Carpe's actually jumped back onto the Trace. He hasn't got recall available, but it doesn't matter at all as Jerry ends up going down on the sidelines. Everybody was split from the Boston Uprising. Both the tanks are trying to stay alive on the point, but with Carpe jumping back onto the Trace. Yeah, Color Hex is going to chase him down. Had to recall like in the middle of the map out of nowhere. That Transcendence is going to help them just move towards the payload. I'm kind of questioning what Fusion are doing right now. They're all split. They tried to go for this really aggressive flank around, but now Boston are able to set up on the cart with the window, and the Flux is also going to just send Sato high in the sky. Luckily he had his shift available, but it doesn't matter at all. He was so slow, and not only that, was also lifted up into the air. Just a complete out-rotation from the Boston Uprising. Philadelphia Fusion, yes, their aggression can sometimes be unmatched, but a little bit unnerved there, I must say, and Boston Uprising. Another flank for Boston. That's a beautiful stick by Color Hex! Both supports are going to go down. Oh, it's almost perfect. Now they just need to push on, and look at the time bank too. Going into large point and Junkerdown could be so devastating. Halo does end up falling though to Hisu. And a little bit of revenge, but it should be just the cleanup. There's no real problems here. It's such a hard point as well, Hex. And in fact, I don't think they're even going to be able to touch. Carpe is here with the pulse bomb. He's going to be able to contest for a long time. Manages to get the stick as well? How? He threw that from like a mile away. 1 support now down, and Carpe is eventually dealt with, but it did lead Fusion to actually get back onto the point. He's stalling out for some additional time. No more picks were acquired. 3 minutes and 39. Immortality field is out. Halo and Punk have been saved for the time being. Their window did actually stop Fusion from running into them as well.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Off, so that's actually not bad at all. However, that ult was pretty good. Straight into a few Storm Arrows, headshot into Fusion. Doesn't matter how much healing you got, that's still going to do a bazillion damage. He's on the high ground too, just being an absolute menace. Jerry falls, Myungbon Halo fall after them as well. Another nice little fight for alive through that Flux. That pulse bomb doing so much damage. Straight on top of the dynamite as well. Somehow Sato is still alive. Finally, Color Hex finishes him off. A beautiful rock actually stopping the Flux too. Fusion are getting dismantled right now by the Boston Uprising. Perfect ult economy, but Carpe sticks to wall, manages to take out Punk. One tank now down. They're relying on fusions to keep this team fight alive. And Carpe is still doing work in the back line. You can see him on the mega health pack. Sada comes back on the wrecking ball, flattens Halo. A Transcendence now to try and keep them alive in overtime. But Hisu has jumped onto the Widow. No healing will save you now, Jerry. As OT will tick down in a matter of seconds if they don't touch the payload. Punk ends up falling. And Fusion are going to be able to hold just before the third point.
It's a defender's advantage.
I'm surprised you haven't got a noise complaint yet, X. That's not like ourselves. Right, what's happening here? Well, Alarm kills another one. There you go, both TPS dead. Alarm was probably one of the biggest acquisitions by Fusions by a mile. Alarm was going to make it to the Overwatch League at some point, and it was going to be on a team like Fusion. The guy is an absolute nutcase. Carpe is going to clean up the rest of the fight, with Hisu also taking a very nasty angle and a nasty flick on Kalex's body as well. Oh, come on, Carpe.
Yeah, but
already pulse bomb. Immortality Field will be up and available at a moment's notice.
Punk just got punked. He got hunted, he got accreted, and then Carpe's there to finish him off.
They're splitting up. Splitting up. Fight is 6. Oh, and Halo gets grabbed off the map as well. Nice little shot by Jerry, but he cleans him up. Easy peasy. And now Fusion's in a very odd situation between 2 DPS and then the killer tanks on the low ground. Another very, very fast team fight for the Fusion as they do cap second point.
Yeah, they're flying through this. They're going to get even more time.
1v1 though, Carpe has control of the mega pack. There's the flux on Halo, no Mortality Field, goodbye. It actually went down, but he actually got killed before it actually landed. A Transcendence a little bit late. Stick in the back there for Color Hex. Can they actually finish off the fight though? No, because Sado goes golden, damage resist, plus all the healing getting pumped into him, and meanwhile Carpe does a little bit something extra in the back line. Beyond World does go down to the pulse bomb. Color Hex also falls, and now Boston Uprising are forced all the way back to their spawn. Punk's going to have a tough time just regrouping with the rest of his team, and someone he's going to have to touch too. Fusions jumps over to the ball, try and get the spin to win around the payload. Trying to let it rip, but he's not quite getting there. 1v1 on the high ground between Hisu and Jerry. Hisu comes out on top yet again. There's a Fusion. There are only a couple of meters now remaining before they end up
they got one kill.
Match point in the series. They got one kill, but Carpe is just cleaning house here, Hex. There's no way they're going to be able to touch now. Everybody holds it back, and the Fusion now on match point. That's a very, very early window. Not really coupled with anything, but sometimes you don't even need it to. Oh, headshot straight into the body shot. Silo goes down. Only one shield available now for Fusion. It's going to be a tough ask to get back onto this point. Bob is going to at least provide them a little bit of space, but with that on the field, with the instant kills with the Discord. Jerry trying to pick off Alarm on the side, who was extremely low, but he's going to be able to get kept alive with the Immortality Field. Color Hex doing work in the background though. He does go down to Pulse Bomb, and the Bob. Going to finish off the rest of the Fusion. Point's going to get capped, and Color Hex, as they do have that Bongo up on the high ground too, and look how much space they're being granted here by the Fusion.
Yeah, not able to get in.
That killed Astro, of all people. I actually think that, I'm pretty sure they landed on Sado's feet, and Astro still ends up going down to it. Okay, good start. Now they only have Alarm to really rely for the healing. They're going to have to use this Transcendence early to keep them in the fight, but now Punk can just wait on this Flux and bring everybody up in the air. They are trying to kind of stagger their ultimates at this point because the spawn is pretty close, but Alarm's able to win out on the fight on the high ground against 2 people, mind you. He's going for another one. Halo's going to fall with the 1v1. It was actually a 1v2 as Color Hex tried to match Alarm, but he is way too beefy up there. Boy ends up going down as well. That was almost a solo carry, by the way, by Alarm. Transcendencing and then winning a 2v1 on the high ground alone? Use it as cover.
Given how it's gone today, Bob doesn't need a hug.
Does indeed. Oh, ideas of going down to Pug. Transcendence has been used rather aggressively for Boston Uprising to try and get themselves on the payload. Now a big thank to the Fusion. Instant window with the Immortality Field behind cover means they're not going to go down anytime soon. Overtime is going to be here very shortly as well. Up onto the high ground now is Funny Astro trying to take the 1v1 versus Jerry, but he's going to have to be a little bit careful. Flux onto the payload! And they don't touch!
No, though. No, though.
That looks so kind of match him or play the more defensive Tracer. They're going to have high ground advantage, at least for the time being, are the Boston Uprising. However, they're not really making use of this. A little bit more difficult when you have an Orisa against you. They're able to pull you off quickly. Very early window, however, they got pulled from it. Oh, look at that damage from the Dynamite. Through the window, straight onto everybody. Even Jerry going for this flank. Funny Astro bites the dust. And the rest of them are going to fall as well. Color Hex taking a bit too much damage from Ivy there. One-shot headshot for the Akshon, of course, when you're scoped in against the Tracer, so Color Hex doesn't really want to... Oh, I think we even use word swag anymore, I'm not sure they do. That was pretty swag, though. Alarm just managed to play Color Hex in space. Bob's going to be in the background, they are now fighting each other, but Bob from Philadelphia Fusion is going to win this one. It's got Transcendence right next to him. It's a lot of dynamite damage for Jerry once again. Transcendence now forced out for both sides. Who has Flux? Well, it's going to be Punk. Alarm's going to have to play very careful here. Doesn't want to get caught out by any means. 2 minutes have gone and just disappeared for the Fusion. And you're going to need to make moves very slowly but surely. Maybe this is the push that they needed with Halo falling. But Astro also goes down. I said it there. Transcendence used fairly early for Alarm does mean Punk got a free Flux. Fury ends up falling and no Mentality Field at his back as well. Like a perfect storm for the Boston Uprising right now. As a minute does remain for time the Fusion actually gets into this engagement once again.
Punk's having himself a great game. Punk should have been dead before that Flux ever came up. He got stuck early to his
rather famous Lucio to get back to the point in time. Alarm's going to have to keep everybody alive with the Transcendence to try and keep this fight going. However, there's a lot of damage and even Ivy trying to flank. They're not fighting a 6. It's rather dangerous. Ivy's Bob does end up falling as well. Transcendence coming out from Myunbong. Perfect stick by Carpe though. Punk ends up falling. Myunbong's there as well. Oh, they needed a miracle and they definitely found it. Carpe coming up clutch once again as Ivy finishes up the fight as well. Fusion on the brink of defeat on the first point of Blizzard World. Managed to find the fight win.
To get a ton of ults online.
Carpe throws in the pulse, but doesn't quite find anything. Mortality Field going down does signal the go button for the Philadelphia Fusion. It's about 15 seconds before that comes back online again. The window's definitely going to pay dividends for them. Transcendence even available for Alarm. They've got so much, but Ivy ends up going down to the Bob. Somehow, wasn't in the Transcendence, but Funny Astro through the window does manage to find 1, 2, and 3 kills for the Baptiste. Carpe finished off Punk, and would you look at that Hex? They all click Q at once. Bob wasn't even needed, and the Philadelphia Fusion will clean sweep the series.